Welcome to the Lion's Share podcast, where we break down today's most impactful research and bring fresh insights from the academic frontier straight to you.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this, because really, if you're operating, at that intersection, marketing, strategy, corporate entrepreneurship, innovation isn't just some side project.
No, absolutely not. It's table stakes now. It's basically survival, especially in these, pretty volatile markets we're seeing.
Right. It's a prerequisite. So today we're really diving into the core stuff, the attributes, how you assess them, the practices you need to actually achieve innovation at scale.
Exactly. And it's interesting if you look back, history shows that these moments of economic stress, they actually create huge opportunities, but only for the companies that are really set up for, let's call it perpetual innovation.
Mm-hmm. And we're looking at a whole range, right? Not just the usual tech giants.
No, that's the key. Our sources pull from best practices across different industries. Sure, the Apples and Amazons, but also, really impressive pivots like Walmart and retail. And think about the speed of Pfizer with the vaccine development. That kind of agility is remarkable.
Okay, so our mission here, for you listening, is to kind of distill all that down, make it into something like an actionable assessment guide.
Yeah, how do you find those levers? The organizational levers you need to pull to go from maybe a more conventional company to something really agile, really innovative. We're talking strategy, finance, culture, the whole package.
So where do we start? The foundation, I guess.
Right.
What's the core question driving this?
Well, the fundamental research question really that's kind of baked into these sources is, what are those inner drivers, the things you can actually measure that define truly innovative companies? And critically, how do you assess if your organization is actually ready for that kind of deep change?
And, okay, this feels important. We need to be really clear on the difference between just improving things and actual innovation. I feel like that gets muddy sometimes in strategy meetings.
Oh, it's the classic trap, isn't it? Improvement is often about efficiency, doing the same thing, just maybe a bit better, faster, cheaper.
Right. Optimization.
Exactly. But real innovation, the kind that drives new growth, it's about introducing something new, doing something different, taking a whole new path sometimes. If you're in marketing, thinking about product. Process, it has to be about difference, not just tweaking.
And sticking to the safe path, the optimization route, that leads us to a key concept, right? Isomorphism.
Yes, precisely. Enrique Dans talks about isomorphism. It's basically the tendency for organizations to just slowly become more and more like everyone else in their field, their normative environment, as he puts it.
Everyone starts to look the same, copying best practices until they're just average practices.
And innovative companies, they're structured intentionally to fight that pressure. They have to resist it. Because conforming, well, that just leads to mediocrity in the long run.
Okay, so before you even think about making big changes, leadership needs to do a really honest checkup.
Absolutely. You've got to know where you are right now, what are the current variables, and then, crucially, paint a really rich picture of where you want to be, that future state, the vision. What does being innovative actually look like day to day in your company?
And that means asking some tough questions, I imagine.
Yeah, uncomfortable ones. Honestly, what slice of our budget, and maybe more importantly, our brain power, our time, is really going towards genuinely new stuff, not just extensions or tweaks? And do our long-term plans actually focus on trying things out, on learning? Or is it all just about hitting the next quarter's numbers? That honest assessment, that's your strategic starting point.
Okay, that sets us up perfectly for the first big pillar we need to discuss. Leadership, commitment, and the financial architecture behind it. We're moving past just talking about innovation now.
Right, into measurable stuff, things you can actually track.
So if a company seriously wants innovation at scale, what are the hard metrics, the non-negotiables for the top leadership?
Well, Strategizer gives us 3 really simple but incredibly revealing metrics. They cut through the noise. First one, how much time does the CEO personally spend focused on innovation? Managing that tension between the core business and the new stuff.
Okay, how much are we talking?
The sources suggest it needs to be significant, like 20% to 40% of their time, every single week.
Wow, hold on. 40%, that's like 2 full days a week? For a CEO who's already juggling investors, operations, everything, that sounds huge. How do they even justify that?
It sounds huge, but they justify it because the CEO is really the only one who can properly referee the fight, right? The inevitable conflict between the core business, the part that makes money now and needs stability, and the new, uncertain ventures that need protection and, frankly, instability to thrive.
Ah, okay, so if the innovation lead reports somewhere lower down,
The core business wins the resource battle almost every time. It's just gravity. Which leads right into the second metric.
Right.
Where does innovation live on the org chart?
It can't just be tucked under R&D or the CTO.
Nope. It needs to be a full-time senior role, reporting directly to the CEO. That structure signals that it's a core strategic priority, not just a technical function.
Makes sense. And the third metric?
This one's often the toughest for big companies. It's the ability to quickly and decisively kill projects that just aren't showing evidence of working.
The fail-fast idea, but actually implement it.
Exactly. It's not just about saving cash, though that's part of it. It's about creating a culture where it's safe to try things and have them not work out, so you can quickly redirect that talent, that capital, towards the ideas that are getting traction.
Because if you can't shut things down effectively, you end up starving the next potential winner, right? Everything gets clogged up.
Precisely. You cap your own potential.
We saw this kind of need for objective assessment play out with TomTom, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a good example. TomTom realized their internal biases might be holding them back. So they brought in external help, Wright Management, to get an objective view on which leaders really had that high-performance innovation capacity.
Looking for the hidden treasures.
Right. Finding those people who could operate autonomously, make quick decisions, and then giving them the space and resources to build that kind of agile environment. Decentralized decision-making is key there.
Okay, so if leadership provides that top-level commitment, those hard metrics, what about the engine room? The culture, the processes that actually make it happen day to day, that's pillar 2, right? Culture, process, agility, or what academics might call entrepreneurial orientation.
Yeah, and right at the heart of this pillar is how the organization deals with risk. Truly innovative companies, they don't see failure as, the end of the world or someone's career.
It's tuition, market tuition.
Exactly. It's a necessary cost of learning what works. In fact, if an organization isn't failing sometimes, you could argue it's playing things too safe. It's missing out on potential breakthroughs. And this mindset gets embedded through things like the lean startup approach.
Okay, so for our listeners, maybe practitioners who've heard the term but aren't deep in it, define lean startup in this corporate context. It's more than just a set of tools, isn't it? It's a whole philosophy.
It really is. Brian Kennedy and Andrea Cates talk about it as building an operating model, one that's built around rapid cycles of experimenting, validating ideas with real market feedback, and learning super quickly.
So no more hiding in the lab for 2 years building the perfect thing.
Right. You get a minimum viable product, an MVP, out there. You see how customers react. You gather actual data, and then you make a decision, pivot, change direction, or persevere because you're onto something. Fail fast, learn faster.
And we see the results of this kind of agility in the market. Look at Walmart.
Yeah, huge jump in innovation rankings. Why? They fundamentally changed their e-commerce game, launched next-day delivery. That wasn't just tweaking, it was a major strategic pivot driven by understanding the market and being able to execute quickly.
Or on the flip side, Coca-Cola. Agility isn't always about adding more.
Good point. They showed agility by subtraction, cutting their global brand portfolio almost in half, from 400 down to 200. That takes real discipline, focusing resources on the validated winners and letting go of the rest. Painful, maybe, but strategically necessary.
And then the really dramatic example, Pfizer and the vaccine. Less than a year for something that usually takes a decade.
It's incredible. It just shows what's possible when the usual decision-making bottlenecks are just dissolved by an absolutely critical shared goal backed by total commitment.
And the companies that consistently top the innovation lists, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, Samsung, they don't just get lucky, right? There's a system.
Definitely. They tend to rely on a reusable innovation framework. They're not reinventing the wheel every time they have a new idea. They're constantly scanning the horizon, using things like rapid prototyping to efficiently turn investment into actual competitive products or services. It's a repeatable process.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift to the third pillar. The work environment and collaboration. This one feels really relevant for marketing folks thinking about customer insights. Gensler's data suggests the physical space itself matters.
Oh, absolutely. The data's pretty striking. Innovative companies, or rather the people in them, they just work differently. Innovators spend way less time working alone.
Interesting.
And almost double the amount of time actively learning, formally or informally, compared to people in less innovative companies who are constantly soaking up and sharing knowledge.
And the office design actually helps that happen.
It seems so. Innovators are about 3 times more likely to have easy access to a variety of spaces, not just desks, quiet zones for focus, innovation hubs for brainstorming, specific focus rooms, even places to rest and recharge.
Treating creativity like something that needs the right conditions, the right environment, and maybe those collision moments.
Exactly. And here's the really surprising finding, especially now. Innovators actually want to be in the office more, significantly more than the average worker.
Really, after everything we've heard about remote work.
Yeah. They're pushing for something close to pre-pandemic levels. The desire seems to be for those spontaneous interactions, those moments where maybe a marketing insight bumps into an engineering problem and sparks something new.
So the diverse space isn't just a perk. It's actually a tool to speed things up, accelerate how information and insights flow between teams, especially connecting marketing back to product.
That seems to be the implication. And it connects to that culture needing to be genuinely customer obsessed. Not just saying it, but living it.
Strong feedback loops.
Right. Actively involving customers. Using data not just to look backwards at what happened, but to personalize things. And crucially, to try and predict future needs, future trends, spotting opportunities before everyone else does. That customer focus powers the whole lean cycle.
Okay, let's pivot now. Critique, implications. This is where it gets maybe a bit challenging for practitioners listening. Changing a big established company. It feels way harder than starting something fresh, doesn't it? How do incumbents break free from, the way we've always done things, that methodology entrenchment?
You're absolutely right. Starting clean is simpler. Incumbents fight inertia, establish routines, politics. That methodology entrenchment is real. One idea some sources float to break that deadlock is pretty provocative. The kamikaze team.
Whoa, hang on. A kamikaze team, that sounds intense, like you're setting them up for internal warfare. If you bring in an outside team to point out everyone's bottlenecks, how do you possibly manage the political fallout, the resistance from existing managers?
It's definitely high risk, high reward. The key, according to the sources, is that this team needs a very specific mandate. Often they are external, or at least operate with an external mindset, and crucially, they report high, directly to top department heads, maybe even the CEO. Not to the layers below.
So they bypass the normal chain of command.
Exactly. Their mission is purely impartial assessment. Find the real bottlenecks. Spot those talented, maybe frustrated people who are being held back, analyze the actual dynamics, and then deliver a clear, hopefully politically neutral blueprint for a new way of operating. It's like a surgical strike against bureaucracy, but it needs that top-level air cover.
Okay, that mandate is everything then. Let's switch gears slightly. Product development, marketing. How do companies avoid getting distracted by what Dr. Marilee Nika calls the shiny object trap?
Yes, the shiny object trap. Chasing cool tech, maybe getting patents, but for something that doesn't actually solve a real, validated user problem at the right moment.
So for marketing, it's about staying laser-focused.
Relentlessly focus on product market fit. And this ties back to what Enrique Dans emphasizes. You need a strong learning culture, a culture that's always scanning, always exploring the market, the tech landscape. That enables sustainable innovation, not just these occasional flashes in the pan.
Which brings us to that idea of perpetual refresh. Markets change faster and faster, so the company has to constantly learn and adapt its skills.
Yeah, Andrea Cates uses that term. Perpetual refresh is the company's ability to continuously acquire the new skills, the new capabilities it needs to stay relevant. And this learning can't just live in one department, like training or R&D.
It has to be everywhere.
Right. Anyone should feel empowered to say, hey, the market's changed, maybe we should try this approach. Based on what they're seeing, it needs to be collective.
Okay, last big piece, people. It always comes down to people. Google gets mentioned a lot for investing in talent, understanding happiness drives productivity. But how do leaders handle that natural tension? The tension between the dreamers and the doers within the same organization?
It's a great question. Sofia Fernandez talks about this. You absolutely need both. You need the dreamers, the ones pushing boundaries, asking what if, challenging everything.
Thinking the unimaginable.
Right, but you also need the doers, the ones who are grounded, results-driven, who can figure out how to actually build that crazy idea, make it work, make it profitable.
And leadership's job is?
To create an environment where they can coexist, even clash productively. Their disagreements, their different perspectives need to push the company forward, not paralyze it or tear it apart. It's about integration, channeling that energy.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. For the DBA or PhD practitioner scholar listening, trying to analyze corporate strategy. What are the key takeaways? Innovation success seems to hinge on, first, that real intentional leadership commitment. You can see it in the CEO's time allocation, where innovation reports.
Absolutely. That commitment has to fuel radical agility, lean practices, being willing to kill projects, supported by a culture that's constantly learning, obsessed with the customer, and maybe even physical spaces designed to help insights collide and generate faster.
It's a whole system.
It is. And maybe a final thought, something provocative to take into your next strategy discussion, building on that perpetual refresh idea. Innovation's an infinite game, right? Not a project with an end date. Okay, so ask yourself this. Right now, is your company spending more time, more energy, more resources protecting its current successes, its existing innovations, than it is generating the new capabilities, the new ideas that will actually define its future, that gap, that resource allocation? That might be the truest assessment of your future readiness.
Thanks for tuning into the Lion's Share podcast. If you enjoyed today's discussion, share it with a friend and join us next time for more ideas worth talking about. We'll see you next time.